Off top, the 1985 Bears were known for the defensive front called the Bear, also known as the 46 defense. It was called that because strong safety Doug Plank, number 46, had to play linebacker. Play the music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
Welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show presented by Allstate. Throw your hands up. We, later on in the show, are going to be joined by Bill Barnwell, where we're going to run through all of the Sunday slate except for the Sunday night game. Me and Charlie up late talking about that excellent contest. Right, Charlie?
Yeah. I mean, it was sort of an interesting.
Yeah, I called it an excellent contest. Not an excellent contest. It was a contest that took place. This show later on is going to completely go off the rails, so I was trying to keep it on the rails.
Well, so there were up until 4 minutes left in the game, there were 7 field goals and no touchdowns.
Well, and the touchdown that they did score was like a
freeway touchdown. Yeah. Which you can explain is.
So at the end of a game, you'll let a team score because you need to get the ball back more than you need to save time. Back when I was with the Ravens, we called it freeway. And so they obviously were just letting Tyler Algier score the touchdown in order to get the ball back. But yeah, the game was weird. Like I walked away. I think my biggest takeaway is not anything new, but like Michael Penix is their guy. And also Bijan Robinson. It's so fun to watch play football. Like, he's awesome.
That's my takeaway. And like, look, I'm not going to go week to week judging JJ McCarthy's performance. Like I at the end of the broadcast, Collinsworth was wondering, like, is Justin Jefferson frustrated? Like Jefferson was very clear in training camp. He thinks McCarthy's a work in progress. He showed like an incredible amount of guile in week 1.
Ooh, guile.
Yeah.
Is guile the same as Moxie?
Similar.
Okay.
Same genre. So there's not that much to learn about that. We know they still have a very good defense. We know they have a good defense because they forced a lot of field goals against this Falcons team. And I'm actually starting to think that this Falcons offense by year end might be really good. It's Penix, but it's also all the skill guys. And the offensive line seems further along than we realized. We know that their build was based on the Lions build of having these skill guys around a beefy, big offensive line. And yeah, it's Bijan. And I know Drake London fumbled in this game, but I still really believe in Drake London. And it looks like they've reanimated Kyle Pitts. Like I am falling for it again. He just looks explosive with the football.
Yeah, the Kyle Pitts, and it's back-to-back weeks where they get him the ball and he looks explosive and he looks like the super athlete that we thought he was always. Well, I mean, super athlete that he's always been, but the player that we expected. So I think you're right. This team is exciting going forward. Yeah. They're fun to watch. And man, I don't know which of. Like, Bijan started the game with a big run, and the most impressive run I think he had was towards the end of the game. It wasn't even a long one, but he made like 5 people miss for like a 7-yard gain. He's so fun to watch with the football in his hands. He's more fun than Reggie Bush was in college.
I disagree.
I know. I just wanted to troll you.
The Reggie Bush USC highlights are
I just wanted to troll you because I know that you love nothing more.
Bijan 168 total yards in this game. Oof. So he had a really, really nice game. JJ McCarthy, it is crazy. I think we will give him a lot of grace as he grows in this, but with the exception of him getting hot at the end of that game last week.
6 sacks is a lot of sacks.
Yeah, also 11 for 21, 158 yards, 2 interceptions. That's going to happen. Also, congratulations on having your first child, JJ.
All right, well, that was fun. Let's bring in Bill Barnwell to do the rest of the games. All right, let's welcome in our good friend, everybody's favorite William, Bill Barnwell. Hey, Bill.
Just happy Charlie's not going to dunk on me with the result of the Commanders game here Monday morning. I didn't see Friday's show. I'm assuming it was a lengthy apology to me for dunking on me for them beating the Giants in week 1, but you'll have to go back to the archives for that one, I believe.
Why would we apologize? I'm confused. What do we have to apologize? What did we do?
Charlie spent the entire show dunking about how I was wrong. The Commanders had a guy, and it turns out they have exactly one guy on that team in Jalen Daniels, and they got 52 guys who were not able to hold up to the Green Bay Packers.
For the record, that was more. I'm glad we agree on that. That was always
yeah, no, I was waiting for the part where Charlie was wrong. I don't believe at any point Charlie suggested that there was anybody that he loved as much as Jaden Daniels.
I will say our Friday show, we picked the Commanders in our survivor pool.
We did.
So that was tough. That was a tough scene.
But luckily, it's still the preseason.
Yeah. Also, we get 2 lives. Mina gets 1. Anyway, we have a lot of football to talk about today. So we're coming to you right after week 2 of the NFL season, this is sort of like the whiplash week where we had all of our takes in week 1 about is this real? Is this not real? We overreacted to everything. And then this week, the results changed considerably, whiplash back and forth. So we're going to go off the internet meme of it's so over or we're so back. I'm going to go through some of the games, some of the storylines. You're going to tell me if it's so over for these people or if we are so back. And we're going to start with what was on paper the game of the day, the Super Bowl rematch, the Chiefs-Eagles, which quite frankly was essentially watching paint dry. But Chiefs-Eagles, I have to do the thing again. Chiefs-Eagles.
No. Please don't do the thing. Just tell us the score. Just tell us you can say, oh my gosh, we're kicking it off where you say the teams and then you have to say the teams again with the score.
Chiefs, Eagles.
Said it 3 times now.
Eagles 20, Chiefs 17. Is it so over for the Chiefs?
Oh, man. I mean, they're 0-2 at this point. I think that we've all tried to say it was so over for the Chiefs a number of times, and obviously been wrong up until they got blown out last year. But I mean, I have to be honest with what I'm seeing. I'm willing to change my mind later in the season if I see something different, but they don't look good. Their defense was much better. I'll give them that. But it's also like the Eagles don't look as good as they once looked either. So like, I don't feel great about either team. Like up front, the Eagles offensive and defensive line aren't as dominant as they once were. And I thought Mahomes, obviously, if he's turning to the playoff scrambles, because like we used to only see Mahomes scramble in the playoffs. If he's week 2, playoff scrambling and running people over, yeah, they're in trouble.
This is like Charlie having a really good pickup line and saving it for like, New Year's Eve. And now he's pulling it out on a Tuesday night at the bar, just hoping. He's like, that's the only thing I've got going for me at this point is Patrick Mahomes scrambles. It's over for now. It is over until we get Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy.
Are we going to say it with your chest, Bill?
We gotta read it.
We're saying it with our chest because they're going to change dramatically. Right now, this offense is toast. Their top receiver is either Hollywood Brown, who is not a number 1 receiver, or Travis Kelce, who might be point shaving after the first 2 weeks of the season.
There we go. There we go. Just got a heckle Bill into
allegedly.
Thank you, Bill. He did lose in that game.
I think they're going to be okay once they get their receivers back, but we're not getting Rashee Rice back for 6 weeks. We're not getting Xavier Worthy back for probably a week or 2. And even when he comes back, he's probably not going to be the normal Xavier Worthy. Without them, what does this offense do? If you need to rely on anything for this offense to work, they don't run the ball well. Holmes scrambling was good, but they don't run the ball effectively in terms of their design run game. They don't hit deep shots. They got one to Tyquan Thornton in this game after Mahomes missed a couple, and they had a couple that weren't really that open to begin with. They're not hitting a ton of third downs. They're not moving the chains. They're not a threat against zone. They're not a guy who's going to run away from man coverage, really. Like, there's not anything there. There's just Mahomes smoke and mirrors trying to get stuff done. And that's still something. Like, it got them a couple of touchdowns in this game, but there's not that thing they can fall back on. And until the receivers come back, I don't see any reason to think that anything is going to change and become that thing they can build their offense around.
I think so. The defense got better. Hollywood Brown got hurt in this game also.
That's what he does. Hollywood Brown gets hurt like every 2 or 3 games.
You sound like you had something on the Hollywood at some point. You're so frustrated, disappointed in Hollywood's history.
I've watched Hollywood Brown for like 5 years and said he was good, and this is what happens. Like, I have no reason to.
I can't wait for you to get there with Trevor Lawrence, Bill.
we'll get
20
to
minutes.
That. We'll get to that when we get to
25 minutes
from
now.
The batch of crazy games. We will get to that. The point that I was going to make is it felt like at one point the strategy that the Chiefs had like kind of backed into was play really great defense, keep the game close. Our superstar quarterback is going to win the close games. They've managed to be in contention for both of these games at the end, and Mahomes wasn't able to pull it out. And that's I think, well, I mean, they had drives at the end of both of these games, and one, Kelce tipped it and got picked off. So, like, I'm saying that they're in position. They're in position in the fourth quarter to win the games.
They stayed in particularly today. It felt like they stayed in there right.
That was always where we would give them the advantage. And I think if we're going to be brave enough to say that it's over for them, that's the point where it's over. It's like whatever magic. And last year we would say over and over, like the 3rd and longs in the late game, win by a missed field goal. Like some of this is luck. Some of this is luck. It's going to swing back the other way. And it never did until they got completely dominated in the Super Bowl. But now they're in these games and still losing, which I do think raises the level of concern a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, they're 0-2. 12% of teams since 1990 have made the playoffs after an 0-2 start. And I'm just going to ask this. Looking at the AFC landscape, do you think they're a playoff team? This certainly won't be held against you in the future.
You can't see that I'm being held with the weapon near me, so I will just say yes for my own safety and the safety of the other people on the Domonique Foxworth Show, so we do not get ratioed into oblivion. I do, but something has to change. Like the thing I came back to is like that formula that Domonique mentioned last year isn't working. They're not as good at that formula. And one thing I think they are missing that I don't know that I really agree with you about defense is that they don't have a great pass rush right now. I mean, there were so many times in this game where Jalen Hurts had 5, 6, 8 seconds to throw. And in the first game, the Chiefs season this year, Justin Herbert hit a bunch of throws in the situations where he had time to throw, or scrambled for a first down in the situations where he had time to throw. Jalen Hurts is not the same caliber of passer as Justin Herbert and was not able to make those throws, or didn't have guys open to make those throws, or some of those passes got knocked out. Eventually he did hit the Devontae Smith 50-50 ball down the field, and he hit enough throws in this game to win. But if they play more dynamic passing attacks and don't get pressure, I don't think this defense is going to look good either.
That's fair. I think that's a perfect segue into talking about the Eagles. Is I think you're probably right. I probably gave them credit for the final score and saying that they played better defense, but didn't take into account that maybe the Eagles offense isn't like top of the league's type of offense like we thought it was going to be, or like the talent around them suggests that they should be. Like you could go through, I'm sure that they have more players that are at the top of their position on offense than anybody else in the league. Yeah. But they still aren't producing in the way that you would expect them to. And so I'm not sure if it's, I guess I am kind of sure. Like it feels like it's a result of the Eagles offense not being all that good, not a result of the KC defense being back.
The Eagles offense is certainly part of this discussion of how they've looked so far this season, because like, I mean, like you can sugarcoat it, but they have talent everywhere. And Jalen Hurts at 101 passing yards. Like we know, like he's Teflon because of everything he did in the Super Bowl and the other Super Bowl he played in. But he had 101 passing yards, and their running attack has not been as dynamic either through 2 weeks of the season. It's not to say anything that Saquon will probably finish with 1,700 yards, and like you can add this clip to the montage. But through 2 weeks of the season, their offense has not looked as dynamic as we thought they were going to, coming off of a Super Bowl that they won by a million.
It feels like a slog, right? I mean, you would think, okay, if you're going to run the ball effectively, and everyone knows, like, even if they haven't run the ball fantastically to start the season, everybody is terrified of Saquon Barkley and the Eagles' running attack going back to last season. You should be hitting your play action shots downfield. You have 2 great receivers who can win one-on-one. Like, they should be getting more shots downfield, more 50-50 balls. Everything Jalen Hurts is hitting is like drags and slants and underneath stuff. Like that one 50-50 ball to Smith was like, oh my God, I forgot he could do that.
I mean, AJ Brown had the greatest 4-yard catch ever. And like
when he slipped and
he slipped and just snagged it. I mean, like they said they're going to get AJ Brown going in this game. He had five receptions for 27 yards. It's very strange how their offense is just sort of in mud right now for a team that is coming off that Super Bowl. I do have to ask you, is there any world where it doesn't make sense that Tyreek Hill should be on the Chiefs in under a month?
I mean, there are lots of worlds where it doesn't make sense. I mean, Tyreek Hill, the speed is still there. The ability is still there. I think it's pretty clear that the reason why he's not been all that productive is not because he doesn't have the talent, but it's also pretty clear that Tyreek Hill is not just a football player. Like he shows up in your locker room, and I think you would assume that the Chiefs locker room is one that handled Tyreek Hill just fine before, so he will be fine there again. But there's always that. I mean, I guess if you're desperate enough, but there's always like that concern, and like there are reports that he could have some more like legal troubles coming up here real soon. So like I don't know. I think that's the part that's more worrisome than anything, adding Tyreek to this stew.
Yeah, I mean the Chiefs were very happy to trade Tyreek Hill away a couple of years ago. Like it was not a begrudging, like, oh, you know, it's so sad, just have to make a change. Like, they were happy to get rid of him and then won 2 Super Bowls after they traded him away. And so that's the tough part to me is I think when you have told yourself organizationally, we don't need this guy, we're better off without this guy, to bring him back now that you're in trouble doesn't really add up, even though I can see the logic for getting some speed and maybe having a better version of Tyquan Thornton than Tyquan Thornton in your receiving room.
I would say he is a better version of Tyquan Thornton. I think that's fair. That's fair. I can say that with my chest.
I mean, before we move on from this game, I think it's important because I want to be clear about the Eagles offense is it's not just that they don't have a lot of passing yards and they're run centric, because they were that last year, but they were that last year and still blowing people out. And so it was like, we don't need to throw the ball because we're in control of these games and Saquon's going to take 2 of these runs for 40 plus yards. The problem with their offense this year is it does feel like they need some other addition when they start facing better teams. Like, they look great against the Eagles, or excuse me, against the Cowboys, moving the ball early on, but
not as good as Ross. Not as good as my New York Giants.
Your guy.
We'll get there. All right, next game. Let's jump to Jaguars Bengals, and as by the time we're taping this, we have the report from Ian Rappaport, who said that Joe Burrow likely, I'm saying likely, we don't know for sure, has a grade 3 turf toe injury with torn ligaments that's going to require surgery, and he will miss roughly 3 months of football. There are so many storylines coming out of this game where we can talk about the Jaguars' dysfunction with Brian Thomas Jr. and Liam Cohen and Trevor Lawrence. We can talk about the Bengals losing their star quarterback and still winning the game with Jake Browning, who threw 3 interceptions in relief. But I want to ask this. Is it so over for both of them? For both these teams? Even though the Bengals are 2-0?
It's hard to come out of this game feeling good about either. Like, the Bengals 2-0 with their quarterback. Like, the premise of the Bengals having a successful season is that Joe Burrow is going to be able to outscore everyone. So, like, yeah, he's going to be out for a number of weeks now, and that's like being generous. That feels terrible. Yeah. The problem with the Jags might feel even worse because they went and got this guy, Liam Cohen, and he's supposed to fix Trevor Lawrence, and it looked like while Trevor's waving him off on the field, like, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it, but it certainly didn't feel good. Didn't look good. We weren't in good shape right there. Their best receiver, who their true number 1, and Brian Thomas Jr., is like causing game-losing interceptions and short-arming the ball and dropping 4th down passes. Like, it feels like a real bad sign. And, of course, their defense created a bunch of turnovers, but they couldn't stop Jake Browning on a game-winning drive. It's not a good place to be for that flight all the way back to Jacksonville.
That long flight from Ohio to Florida. People always miserable flying from Ohio to Florida.
It feels extra long when you just lost to Jake Browning.
Jake Browning had a 98.4 passer rating in 7 starts, filling in for Joe Burrow. Like, I do think the Bengals have a shot at being okay. I think they can. They're obviously not going to have the ceiling they have with Joe Burrow. They need him back as soon as possible. But could they go 500 with Jake Browning? And
no,
I think they can.
I mean, no disrespect to Jake Browning, but I'm guessing you haven't done the exercise that we did earlier where we looked at their next 4 games. And
they're going on the road to the Vikings. Then they're on the road against the Broncos. I just saw the
Colts beat the Broncos this week. I saw Daniel.
Then we're going on the road to the Packers.
Okay, the Packers they're going to lose too. That's fair.
It's a tough stretch.
It's a tough 4-game stretch.
It's a tough stretch for a backup
I just saw the Bears, who are the worst team in football based on this week, almost beat the Vikings. I just saw the Colts, who I don't think are good, just beat the Broncos. Like, I think they can go 2-2 in this stretch. I do think they can survive.
Okay. I love the optimism. I mean, they could, and don't disrespect my Colts ever again.
But I do think we're being a little hasty here on both sides. I do think the Jaguars,
really,
they came within what, a first down, a 4th and short conversion up 3 of probably winning this game. Like,
yeah,
there's a little bit of fussiness. Maybe they're speed running the Doug Peterson, Urban Meyer era with Liam Cohen, where in week 2 they're already disgruntled, but the running game is working fine. They're creating turnovers on defense. I really think the part that I find most frustrating and most difficult to make sense of for the Jaguars is the Travis Hunter situation, where week 1, he is all offseason. It's always primarily going to be an offensive player. He plays like 5 or 6 snaps on defense week 1. Okay, if that's your plan, that's fine, but that's your plan. Now week 2, he's like playing 60% of the snaps on defense. He's like almost 50-50 split between offense and defense. Like, is it really that dramatic?
42 snaps on offense, 37 on defense.
It doesn't feel like that's the best thing for his development. It doesn't feel like it's sustainable. Like, it feels like they have to stick with an idea and maybe slowly build on that with week from week to week, not changing his role dramatically from week to week. I don't think it helped him, and I don't think they're getting the most out of him on either side of the ball right now.
I like positive, Bill. I want to be on the positive side with you. I think you've sold me. I was really concerned about both of these franchises, and now not anymore. They're going to meet in the AFC Championship game.
But even you said you don't care about the Liam
you.
Cohen, Trevor Lawrence thing. That doesn't matter to you, does it?
No, not at all. Just a little wave off. It happens. It's worse things happen. The problem is, I think their offense doesn't seem as productive as I think you would want it. But I guess it's still early in this process. And the Travis Hunter thing is a problem too. But that wasn't a good call. It's good defense. That pass interference really upset me. It's the DB in me. I didn't like that.
This is the end of the game that led to the Jake Browning final drive. Can I give one bright spot for the Jaguars?
Bill just gave a bunch of bright spots.
Can I give one of my bright spot for the Jaguars? Bashal Tutin, their rookie running back. 8 carries, 42 yards. Obviously, they traded Tank Bigsby to the Eagles. And Tutin's one of those running backs who obviously incredibly fast. He looks like he's shot out of a cannon every time he gets the ball on the edge. He is so fast. And I feel like 6 weeks from now, once they realize that he's significantly better than Travis Etienne, he's going to be like the guy who wins a bunch of people fantasy leagues. So there's your positive.
Charlie, be honest. Is this a Charlie Kravitz fantasy football team discussion?
No, I don't have him. I wish I had him on my teams.
You have a fantasy team? How come you got in a fantasy league? I'm not in it.
You can have my teams. I hate fantasy.
I don't want to be in it.
I get forced into it, and then they're like, "Oh, you work for ESPN. Why do you suck at fantasy football?" Because I don't care.
Yeah, I got kicked out of all my fantasy leagues because
you're a zombie owner.
Yeah,
I could see that.
In and out on it. I just did.
You can be. We just taught you how to text. The idea of you having a fantasy team.
It just doesn't do 100%. It for me, man. It doesn't wake
Domonique,
me up.
The night of the draft, Domonique is on his phone somewhere where it's very hard to draft, and he's just like, just make the picks for me. I don't care. The worst kind of fantasy owner.
I don't know. I just want to hang out with my friends.
That's right.
I just maybe if you like the Colts, and I don't think the Colts are as good as Domonique does, clearly, but did what you saw from the Texans in week 1 scare you relative to what the Jags are? We've seen the Titans the first 2 weeks of the year. Are they a team that's going to give you pause? For the Bengals, it's tougher because I think the division's going to be good still, and the Ravens are still.
And the Burrow stuff for the Bengals, it's just so devastating. There are reports even if he has this surgery, 3 months is the very optimistic timeline.
You're right. You sold me. I was hanging around with negative Charlie over here, and I was angry coming into this thing, thinking it was over for everybody. You're right.
No, you don't believe that. You don't believe that.
I do believe it.
You've watched them. How did you let Trevor Lawrence's defense attorney? Trevor Lawrence's defense attorney comes in here. You don't believe it.
I see reasonable doubt. Thank you, counsel, for showing me the reasonable doubt.
When is he going to look good? It's year 6.
He looks great all the time.
Fine.
No, it's amazing hair, feathered, lethal, and obviously there was the 8 games in 2022, and then the Bill Bowl where Brandon Staley melted down.
The Bill Bowl.
I do like that.
Jaguars Chargers is the Bill Bowl.
Oh gosh.
I think the Jags are going to be fine. I think they're still my 9-win Jags. They are still on pace to go 9-8. I'm not expecting anything more, not expecting anything less. They will be just fine, and they will lose in the wild card round.
I think that's actually just incredibly fair.
See, he sold you too.
He sold me
too. The jury agrees with the defense.
Well, to be fair, he moved the target.
It's fine. It's fine. Well done. That's
you shouldn't have given me those goalposts that moved around if you don't want me to move them, buddy.
It's true. All right, Bears-Lions. Lions 75. Bears 14.
I'm pretty sure the Lions did score 75 points.
They could have.
They could have.
Still be scoring right now.
So can we? It's so back? The Lions are so back? You want to start with the positive? Lions, they're so back.
Yeah, I mean, their offense, they ran the ball.
Yeah.
And when they run the ball, everything else falls into place.
It looked personal.
Yeah, it did look like they were running up the score, which I and Ben Johnson both are fine with it. Mm-hmm. He wasn't offended by it. But yeah, that Tesla out there out there with the one-handed catch again. J-Mo getting loose. And he had a couple touchdowns that Jared Goff missed him on. Jared Goff is hitting everybody for touchdowns, but he can't quite jump. He's 6'5" and can't jump into the stands. It was unfortunate.
That was a tough scene.
It was bad when you got Amon Ra trying to push him up over the top. It was tough.
I was like a fat kid and jumping over fences was it was like that and getting into a pool. Oh my God, dude. Cause it's everyone else can get over this 4 foot high, chain link fence. You're I'm going to try and climb over it. My pants are going to get caught. This is going to be so embarrassing.
Why are we doing?
Sorry, let's go.
Welcome to Charlie Kravitz Therapy Hour.
Pain. I felt Jared Goff's pain.
The Lions are good again, right? That's all we wanted to get across.
Get back to it.
Do you
Bill,
think this is strictly the Lions are good and we just underestimated how good the Packers defense is, and the Packers are going to make everyone look bad, and the Lions offense is just the way it was before?
Yes.
Or do you think this is more that the Bears defense is just a disaster, and frankly, the Bears offense is also a disaster, and everything, any sort of optimism or hope any of us, myself particularly included, had about the Bears heading into the season has already been completely and utterly extinguished after 2 weeks. And we are now going to spend the next 15 games looking for a scapegoat and who needs to get fired to fix Caleb Williams next.
I don't think that's going to happen.
You don't?
I mean, I think you were right about everything up into who needs to get fired to fix Caleb Williams. Like, if this is the version of Caleb Williams that we're going to see for the rest of the season, I don't think that they're going to find a scapegoat. Like,
how are we on the It's So Over for Caleb?
It's a bad scene for Caleb. I think that if Caleb does not improve, I think when you go through two coaches and one is the offensive guru and you invest so much money in the things in draft capital and the things to support him, if he has another season like that, I don't think the question at the end of this year is going to be who do we need to bring in to fix Caleb. I think it's going to be who are we going to start at quarterback. It's not going to be Caleb.
So I've mentioned over the offseason, I had a child. I have a 5-month-old baby now. And every morning when I wake him up, he wakes up, he looks at me and he just smiles. He's so happy to see me. It's like the joy of his life. I know this person. I recognize this person. He takes care of me. You have to imagine Ben Johnson was looking at Jared Goff on the field and just thinking the same thing my baby thinks when he sees me. Just like, I had you perfectly operate within the confines of the offense. You do exactly what I tell you to do. It's basically PlayStation with you. And now I'm stuck with this guy. I'm stuck with Caleb. I have to do this every week for the next year, the next 2 years, the next 3. There already has to be some semblance of buyer's remorse, not only for the Bears with Ben Johnson, but for Ben Johnson in picking this job over some of the other opportunities that were out there. This guy,
Charlie doesn't let me forget it.
He could have been working with Jaden Daniels. He turned down the Commander's job.
Charlie does not let me forget that Ben Johnson is kicking himself over that. And
objectively, I don't know how big of an offensive genius you can be if you can't scout the difference between them.
Well, I mean, everyone got it wrong. Essentially, it wasn't just Ben Johnson.
I know. I'm just being salty.
Yeah.
I'm just.
But I mean,
Caleb was such a ridiculously good prospect,
and he'll be looking at old Bajent pretty soon, peeking over and wondering if he can operate within the confines.
Bag.
If he can operate within the confines of the offense.
I'm so excited for Tyson Bagent's midseason Charlie Kravitz quarterback tier. It's going to be like 4 tiers too high.
God.
Caleb's going to get hurt and miss like 2 games, and Tyson Bagent's going to lead 2 victories, and he's going to be in like the Josh Dobbs Memorial tier from 2 years ago.
Yeah, I do need a quarterback to hyperfixate on for week 8, but so far, I don't think Jake Browning's going to be that guy.
I don't know. Jake Browning was kind of nice.
No, he is. He's not a bad player, but he doesn't move me.
The Bears' defense, I think, is really concerning, but the way that they play is one of those defenses that require you to win up front with your linemen all the time. Like, they want to be in 2-man throughout the course of the game, and that's not going to work if you're not going to be like utterly dominant up front, and they don't have the pieces to get it done at this point. And so, nothing about this team feels super promising going forward.
That's why I think we are going to get this is Ryan Poles' fault. If we just get rid of Ryan Poles, just get one more offseason, just a few more offensive linemen, we can fix it. All I need is a few more dudes. Maybe that will fix it. Who knows? But it's not going to be Ben Johnson.
I just actually think it's really hard. Not that they're not going to do it, but it feels like it's really hard to scapegoat Ryan Poles, given if the job of the general manager is to put together a talented roster, it's hard to argue that he hasn't done that. The results are the results, which is fair, but there are not too many of the decisions that were made along this process that I would look at Ryan Poles and say, that was an asinine decision that set you up for this failure.
can think of a few, but we don't need to have the Ryan Poles GM discussion. I think we will have opportunities to have that conversation, not on a Sunday night in week 2 when we have a lot of stuff
You're
to
just
discuss.
such a pleasant guy tonight. You're just everything is.
I've got something positive for you.
Okay.
Rome Odunze.
Oh,
Great.
awesome.
Fantastic game. 2 touchdowns. He looked significantly more explosive with the ball than he did last year. There's another positive for you.
Good job, Ryan
He would
Poles.
be like the 5th best target on the Lions right now, Rome Odunze. That's where we're at with where the Bears are relative to where the Lions are.
Yeah, I mean, not everyone can get Tesla in the 3rd round.
Tesla.
What else we got, Charlie?
Man, what a freak. All right, guys, get your hands up. Get them up.
Throw your hands up.
It's time for this week's Good Hands Plays presented by Allstate. Do you know who you're in good hands with, Bill? Danny Dimes, your buddy.
I think he goes by DJ now. That's what Jeff Saturday told me.
DJ.
Jeff said they call him DJ now, and they do go DJ.
Okay,
That's
well,
not DJ.
We're going out. We're
just telling you what Jeff Saturday told me. Why you get upset?
We're going up to Indianapolis.
Oh, let's do it.
Broncos 28, Colts 29. And Daniel Jones, they blitzed him on 75% of his dropbacks. Bill, you know what he did? He eviscerated the blitz for 265 yards. He looked completely composed in Shane Steichen's offense as the Colts continue to roll against the defense. The Broncos defense, like guys like you, Domonique, were telling me that this Broncos defense, because of their defensive backs, this is supposed to be the 85 Bears. And Daniel Jones is eviscerating
Made
them.
him look like the 2025
so
Bears.
I got to ask you, is Daniel Jones so back?
No. Daniel Jones is not back. But this offense had a solution for everything the Broncos threw at them on defense. The Broncos are going to play a ton of man. And guess what the Colts had? A bunch of man beaters. They ran mesh like 6 times in this game, hit it for a bunch of big plays. They got Jonathan Taylor working in the slot, out of the backfield, hit a bunch of pick plays to him. Got the running game going with Jonathan Taylor. The receivers all look better because they don't have the least accurate quarterback in NFL history throwing them passes. I think we all, myself included, underestimated how good that was going to be and how much better having even a vaguely competent quarterback was going to do for them. Daniel Jones, DJ, I don't know why he's DJ, but sure, DJ is, I think, a kind of quarterback where when you protect for him, when you have a good run game going, and you're not putting him in a position where he has to throw to catch up and win games, he's going to be fine as long as he's healthy. Yeah. But I think when he has to drop back and pass in situations where they're trailing, where they're in obvious passing situations, where defensive ends don't worry about the run, that's where he's going to struggle. And the Colts have not been in that situation yet through 2 weeks.
Well, they call him DJ because his name is Daniel Jones. Okay, that's why they call him DJ. And I'm surprised that you've been the most optimistic out of all of us. And then we get to a team that actually is overachieving relative to the expectations. And somehow you want to tamp down the excitement.
That's a great point.
It's like they're actually playing well. They actually beat a team that a lot of people thought was going to be really good. Daniel Jones played very well in tough situations. You're right. He's not behind, but you could say the same thing about Jared Goff, who you just celebrated. So I'm confused
Domonique,
why we're being so hard on
Domonique,
DJ.
Can we go back 12 months on this very show after week 2 of the 2020-24, I'm doing the Charlie thing now. The 2024 NFL season a year ago.
Yes, we can go back.
We're going to some Saints stuff.
Who was the highlight of the NFL after 2 weeks? The New Orleans Saints.
Oh,
who was on the Saints bandwagon after 2 weeks? This guy right here. Who learned his lesson saying, Derek Carr's Derek Carr is retired now. He's on YouTube at this point. Danny Dimes might be on YouTube this time next year, Domonique. I'm not willing to get burned again. Right. I want to see this team do it. Although they do it against a good defense this week, so I can't say they didn't do it against a good defense.
It was the third time that you said Daniel Jones's name that made me realize that this is just a bitter Giants fan. That's what it is. Okay, I'm sorry.
Well, Dominic, do you think we overhyped the Broncos defense?
No, I think they're still a very good defense. I think we're underhyping Daniel Jones. I think the defense is going to be good. Like what they did last week was really impressive. I know it was against a rookie. They still have all the pieces. So I guess, I think we probably forgot how good Shane Steichen was as a game planner and a schemer, and probably underestimated the talent on this Colts team. I'm not saying that the Broncos are overhyped. Like, they were good for all of last season, and they have all those same players back.
Defense is much more inconsistent from year to year than offense. So I'm just going to say that, like, the Broncos could be really good on defense and be the 7th best defense in football this year, which I think is more likely than them being the best defense in football the way they were a year ago. But I just think it's a margin of error thing, right? Like last week, the Broncos played Tennessee, and Bo Nix turned the ball over 3 times. They had a fumble on a a fumble on a punt return for a short field for Tennessee. And it didn't matter because the Broncos defense was great. This week, they turned the ball over in the red zone, missed a 40-yard field goal. They commit that penalty at the end of the game to give the Colts a second chance at a game-winning field goal. The defense wasn't good enough to account for the margin of error. The offense and special teams were mostly good, a lot better than they were in week 1, but still not good enough. And the defense couldn't win them the game. So I just think that defense has to be really good, because I don't think the offense, and I don't know if the special teams are all that good when the defense is not playing at the best level in football.
All right. We're going to enter the Charlie Kravitz
almost,
zone.
yeah. So
we're not there yet?
We have 2 more teams to talk about before we enter the weird part of the show. No. And this one, I guess, is just like, we're combining 2 games here, but these are, like, I don't know if this is an are we back or is it over for them. I'm not sure how it works with them, because they're sort of back to who they were before, but it's also over. The Steelers and Jets, who played the barn burner in week 1, both got boat raced this week. The Steelers got just, I guess it was 1 week of good press for Aaron Rodgers after he played well. And then they just got destroyed by the Seahawks. And the Jets, that game was over immediately against Buffalo and Josh Allen's broken nose. So is it over, or are they back? And that's what I'm not even sure how it works.
I want to start with the Steelers, I think. Like, I find what happened last week, and I think, Bill, if I remember talking to you and I saw it more similar than different, is a lot of the hype around Aaron Rodgers was based on 4 touchdowns and no interceptions, but not necessarily based on what was happening in the course of that game. And it seemed like in this game, it was a much closer, like, it was the same type of performance from him, but the actual stats coming out of the game seem more accurate. And he still had 1 interception that he got away with. He's getting sacked way too much. Like, I think that if there's an expiration date on quarterbacks, it does feel like this one has passed due.
Oof, already. I like Aaron Rodgers.
What?
I don't think you're wrong.
Okay.
I don't think the Steelers have gotten anything less than what they should have expected from Aaron Rodgers. Like, I think if anything, even though I agree with you in that stat line from week 1 overstates his ability, he's been fine the first 2 weeks of the year. Not great, but not terrible by any means. Better than the guy he was with the Jets. The scary thing about the Steelers, and the thing that makes me really worried, is the defense. Like, the Jets, who could not do anything against the Bills in this game, ran up and down the field, and the Steelers had no trouble moving the football. The Seahawks, who had a couple turnovers in this game, were a little sloppy with their passing attack. Sam Darnold still had a ton of passing yards in this game, and the Seahawks ran the ball up and down the field on the Pittsburgh Steelers. That is the part that concerns me, because, again, it's how do we compensate for the weak part of this team? And for years, this team's formula has been great on defense. We're going to do some crazy stuff on special teams, and the offense is just not going to screw things up. And in this game, the defense wasn't good for the second week in a row. The special teams gave the Seahawks a touchdown, which is a really scary thing. Like, there's like a crazy thing that happens on special teams in a Steelers game, and it happens to the Steelers as opposed to the team playing the Steelers. Doesn't seem like it fits our idea of what the Steelers do. Like, I don't think the offense can compensate if the defense is really this bad.
And for the Jets, I think that the moment where we felt like Justin Fields and this offense and Aaron Glenn had figured it all out, or is this just that the Bills are this good, I guess, is the hope for the Jets going forward, is that the Bills are just this good and they'll be better. The Jets will be better against everyone else and more competitive in the same way that they were in that Steelers game.
Remember last year when the Bills played the Lions, it was Aaron Glenn who was calling like the most man-heavy defense in football against Josh Allen, who we saw first, like in that game, they tried a little bit of zone early. Josh Allen picked them apart because they couldn't get any pressure. They moved to man, moved to blitzes. Josh Allen picked them apart with his legs, and they were hitting all their man beaters for big gains. This game, Josh Allen hits like a 40-yard scramble early in the game, and I just don't think they have a punch for that stuff. Like, I think if they can man you up and they can get pressure that way, and you don't have receivers who are going to terrify them, you're going to be fine. But we saw last week, DK Metcalf, when he got the ball, he had a ton of yards after the catch. This week, I mean, Josh Allen got the scramble early. They were hitting a bunch of big plays in this game. It wasn't even like a great performance by the Bills, but they had great individual moments. James Cook had that crazy run for a touchdown. Like, it doesn't feel like, it feels like Aaron Glenn is at the point where he was with like the week 15 Lions, where he doesn't really have the pieces. He's going to be able to dial some stuff up and, show you some exotic pressures and play a lot of man and scare you that way. But when it hits on offense, it's going to hit for big plays because the Jets are going to be giving up. They're not going to have the pieces to stop yards after catch or stop those big plays from happening.
Now it's time. I feel like Bill has been more right than me, and I don't like that. I like his takes better than mine. I'm going to have to step it up for the end of the show because we can't have that. Can't have you have better takes than me on my own show. That's why we got to get to the Charlie portion of the program. Yeah. The Freaky Deek Zone.
Yeah. So we had a different name for this that was
perfect.
That was perfect. It was deemed inappropriate for television. So I'm 0 for 2 on these. This happened to me more and more frequently lately. I asked ChatGPT for other options. They suggested Pervert's Delight for this last slate of games. And so according to AI, these will be the Pervert's Delight games.
Don't blame it on ChatGPT.
I know. It's funny. I like that.
That is the opposite of saying with your chest, saying, oh, AI made me do it. Come on, Charlie.
Fair point.
First Pervert's Delight game. Panthers and Cardinals. This game was sort of like an edible where at first you ate it and nothing happened. And you're like, oh, this game's over. Bryce Young's bricing. He's turned the ball over twice in the first 5 minutes of the game. Arizona's up by 1 million. And then all of a sudden it just hits you and you're like, whoa. It's 27-22. This last drive, it's been 4th down for like 11 minutes, and somehow there continue to be penalties. And is Bryce Young really going to win this game? They didn't. No. The Panthers won. This game was really weird, and the Cardinals were a team that we hyped up a little bit before the season, that with how interesting their scheme was defensively, that now with more talent, they'd be better. We thought Kyler Murray, fully healthy, a second year with Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride in this offense, that it would be a more impressive team. But after the last 2 weeks of how they snuck by last week and this week against teams that we don't think are particularly good, are the Cardinals the least impressive 2-0 possible?
I mean, the Bengals are also
right
a team that exists.
That's a tough question.
Yeah, it's a tough question. Yeah. The promise of the Cardinals, I think, is they've been a team that's been around, and obviously they didn't have the talent on defense last year, but it all was supposed to come together this year. But it still, I think, is a lot of expectations for Kyler Murray to be more consistent, and that still has never quite been the case, because even in this game, like, there are highs and lows for Kyler Murray. But yeah, like, the story of this for me right now is just trying to figure out how to feel about Bryce Young coming out of these 2 games and coming out of last year. Like, it just feels also pretty uncertain. But I don't know, like, this was, of the Freaky Deek games, this was the least. Like, I guess it's a good place to start because the rest of them got so much freakiness.
This was like a discipline kind of freakiness, right? Like, this was a authoritarian sort of freakiness where it was like, how badly do these teams want to be smacked down by Ron Torbert? I always hate that argument of like, oh, refs shouldn't decide the games. They shouldn't make calls late on. Like,
yeah.
You're going to be mad if there's a call that you see and you don't get it because the refs didn't call it. No one's ever like, oh, well, I asked for the refs not to call it. That's fair. But this was the example of the refs needed to chill out. Like, it was overwhelming at the end of this game, the stuff they were calling. They were calling grounding and miscommunication, a terrible roughing the passer on 4th down and Josh Sweat to extend the game. It just felt like the refs were actually going to decide what happened. And that was not a fun experience. That's not my kink. That's not something I enjoy personally. And so I think it overshadows everything to me. I think the Cardinals are better than you're giving them credit for. It took a onside kick, some crazy refereeing, couple of 4th downs, I think, to even come within 1 score in this game. And I Kyler is weirdly consistent and inconsistent. Like, he is consistent on a yearly basis, but from week to week, you don't know what you're getting with Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
I do think they're sort of inflated because they have played some bad teams, but I just don't know. There's a lot of great teams in the NFC. Like outside of the Packers, who were these teams in the NFC where you were like, oh my God, they're so much better than the Cardinals right now?
Yeah, that's a fair point. I'm not sure that the Cardinals are.
Who are the teams in the NFC?
Yeah.
The Packers?
Yeah.
No, he said outside of the Packers. I mean, the Eagles.
But we just spent 5 minutes crapping on the Eagles earlier in the show.
Commanders. Yeah, I know. I mean, I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I just was pointing out that there are teams that I would pick over them, but they're not like head and shoulders way beyond them. But I mean, I think we all established that this game is not our kink, so I don't want to talk about it anymore. Okay. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Bryce Young stuff is interesting.
What you got on it then?
No, I have no idea what to make of him because it's also like you could say he was under siege, he was under duress instantly. He still turned the ball over twice immediately, cost the team 10 points, whether you blame it on the offensive line, the scheme, or Bryce Young. And that's like a huge reason why they lost the game. So he put up the 300 yards and had a bunch of touchdowns also, but it's hard to separate those things in the Bryce Young experience. Like, I would not feel good about what I've seen from the first 2 weeks, despite how he finished last season.
I agree.
At all. That's why.
But again, this time a year ago,
get to the good
he was getting benched. So we're way better than we were 12 months ago.
That might be his kink.
Getting benched.
Yeah. He was like, I have to experience it all this game, so I'm gonna like speed run my entire 2024 season.
He likes to watch.
Okay.
Andy Dalton.
Next game, we're going out to Jerry's World.
Here we go.
Oh boy.
Giants 37.
Here we go.
Giants 37.
This is a here we go game for sure.
Cowboys 40.
This was wild.
This game was not an edible game. It was like
from start to finish, man.
This is a crack game.
The fourth quarter was insanity.
Oh, yeah. Russell Wilson just moon balls.
Yeah.
Malik Neighbors. Bill, like, you could tell me Malik Neighbors is the best receiver on planet Earth right now, and I would agree with you.
Yes,
he is unbelievable. And then somehow the Cowboys won.
I'm gonna tell on Charlie. So Charlie was committed to doing vacuum talk. You know what vacuum talk is? In a vacuum, Malik Neighbors is the best receiver in the NFL.
It's because before the injury, Joe Burrow is tied to Jamar Chase. So it's like the best receiver. It's hard to separate them as a combo. But like in a vacuum, Malik Neighbors.
That's I didn't want to actually open the door for you to do your analysis. I just
so here's a question for Bill.
We're entering vacuums.
Hold on. In a vacuum for the rest of 2025, who would you rather have, Daniel Jones or Trevor Lawrence, Bill?
What does that have to do with the Giants and the Cowboys?
Where'd that come from?
It came from nowhere. Anyway, continue.
He loves vacuum
It is going to be Trevor Lawrence. Clip this. Let's play it again in 6 weeks, and Charlie will be embarrassed for having asked me that question. That's where we're going to be in 6 weeks with Trevor Lawrence and Daniel Jones.
I don't embarrass that easily.
So of this, like, if there was one play from this game that you would, I mean, because you're forgetting that
Brandon Aubrey.
Yeah, it was Brandon Aubrey kicking a.
He's the Cowboys version of Malik Neighbors.
Oh gosh, I mean, that was awesome. The field goal was it
64 yards.
That's incredible to send them into overtime. But I don't know. Malik Neighbors running past their defense continuously was kind of stands out in my mind, and catching a touchdown pass with a hand in his eye just. That's a little bit more impressive to me than the 64-yard field goal, which is also incredibly impressive.
Domonique, you said on the show about the Packers that Micah Parsons is their safety because they don't need to worry about coverage downfield when you got Micah Parsons. The Cowboys don't have safeties anymore because they don't have Micah Parsons. And so I think what we learned is, no disrespect to Russell Wilson and Malik Neighbors, who I think is great, but there's not going to be many teams who have trouble hitting big plays on the Cowboys on defense this year, because unless Jadeveon Clowney comes in and he is the second coming of Micah Parsons, that is not going to be a pass rush that's going to scare anybody or give anybody any concerns about hitting shots downfield.
The thing about this game that I feel a little bit interested in is going forward is like the Giants quarterback situation. Because there was a point in this game where they were like running in Jackson Dart, I guess, just trying to get his feet wet to do. He did like two plays. Yeah. My assumption was they were getting his feet wet because they wanted him to play at some point. And then Russ started nailing those bombs. And I was like, oh, that door is closed. And then Russ ends the game by just kind of blindly throwing the ball to the safety. And it just felt like they left that game feeling like, I don't know. I felt like it was about to be, this is Russ's team, obviously, for the foreseeable future because he was hitting those passes.
You've never experienced a heat check before? Was this not like a Russ Wilson, I'm 25 years old again, I'm going to get a Subway commercial again, I'm going to be Mr. Unlimited, everyone's going to love it again heat check?
Oh, man, that was not it was an ill-advised heat check because, I thought we were at a point where it's going to be a tie or the Giants would win. That interception changed everything. So, like, I guess my point was it felt like we were going to a place where Russell bought himself 2, 3, 4 more weeks. I'm not sure that's the case with how that game ended, even though he had a ridiculous amount of yards. Am I wrong?
Have you ever done anything dangerous?
Shut up.
Ooh, that is spicy.
Oh, God.
We're discovering Charlie's kink right now. It's that Russ clip from that Subway commercial.
Be careful. It's spicy. How much do you think Brandon Aubrey would be worth on the trade market? Like if the Bills or Ravens were like, if you saw a headline come up and it's like Schefter reports the Bills have traded a 4th round pick for Brandon Aubrey.
Oh, way
what
more.
Would you thought?
I mean, like that's a steal for Brandon Aubrey.
Yeah,
if you heard Kyle Shanahan send a 1st round pick to the Cowboys for Brandon Aubrey, would you not be like, I guess it's better than a third of Trey Lance? Here's my question. I have another Brandon Aubrey related question. Charlie, Domonique, imagine your life savings is on the line and you get to pick, you get to bet against Brandon Aubrey making a field goal. How far does that field goal have to be before you feel confident that your money is in safe hands? Because I don't think I feel comfortable from 70. I would say 75. I'm like,
I was going to say 75. 75 is where I'm like starting to risk it.
I'm like a little nervous still.
We don't spend a ton of time breaking down kickers.
Yeah.
So like, I don't have a lot of like other kickers to compare it to. But the thing about it is he hits the 64-yarders with yards to go, and it looks effortless. Mm-hmm. It doesn't even look like he's straining at that point, which is the part that's like really kind of mind-blowing and impressive. Is I assume that like the pregame stuff when all the kickers just start launching it, like I'm sure he's hitting 70 plus in that period, right?
Yeah. And I mean, there was an opportunity with the Cowboys. I think they punted the first drive of overtime, if I'm not mistaken. They could have tried an 80-yard field goal. And not saying it was going to go in, like that's 10 yards beyond
I wanted
the record.
them to so badly.
Would you have been shocked if Brandon Aubrey kicked an 80-yard field goal? I wouldn't have been.
Well, I mean, it would have to be the last kick of the game, though, because like in that situation, because you've never been like had a kicker who was such a good kicker with so much distance that if he misses it, the opponent is immediately in field goal range. Like that is the part that is like incredibly ridiculous. That's the part of the equation that makes it less likely for them to try a kick like that. But it felt like the 4 kickers now, and the commentators mention this often, that it feels like we're getting further and further away. It's not just Aubrey that can hit him. But the weird thing is, it feels like there are a lot of like missed close chip shots too. I don't know where we are with kicking in NFL. There's a couple guys that can kick it from anywhere. And then they're like good kickers who are missing 30, 40 yarders.
I don't know whose kink this is, but we ended up on what's going on with kickers in the modern NFL. I think we need to get another weird game from Charlie.
Let's do it. Yeah, you're right. We're in a bad spot if we're talking about kickers.
Fine. I will look at.
Yeah, no more. I don't care what it's going to be. It could have been the best thought in the world.
It's a great point. I'll tell you two when we're walking out of the studio.
All right,
you know
I can't wait.
I can't hold.
Yeah, you've never been able to keep a secret.
The
nastiest game of all.
This one is. Patriots Dolphins.
You got to scroll to the bottom of the categories to find this one.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely putrid.
You know what I'm talking about, Bill.
Scroll to the bottom of the categories.
Okay.
All right.
Patriots 33, Dolphins 27.
Nice job.
Dominique's got his mouse going down to the bottom. Come on, Dominique. Nasty boy.
Sorry, who has to edit all this out? I apologize in advance.
Patriots Dolphins. None of this is getting edited out. Let it ride.
Let it ride.
Patriots Dolphins. This game, no one can feel good about themselves after this game. Can I read you a quote from Mike McDaniel after the week 2 loss?
Is it going to make me sad?
We're to win games, you have to win the game, not lose the game. And honestly, that's how you lose the game. That's a perfect encapsulation of everything. And that's a direct quote.
Can the Dolphins trade Mike McDaniel to the Chiefs? Because I feel like that might be more likely at this point.
Yeah.
It feels like
To play wide receiver?
to play wide receiver, tight end, coach, whatever they need, because it feels like it's getting dark real early in Miami.
Do the Patriots even feel good?
No, the
No.
Patriots should feel bad too.
Like they won, and it doesn't feel like the Vrabel and I guess we said this last week, but it's still early in the situation. We thought that they would immediately be better than they were last year.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel that they clearly are, and it definitely doesn't feel like Drake May is better than he was last year.
I mean, like the only person who feels good about this game is Rex Ryan. Period. Full stop.
So he can make fun of Genius
McDaniel.
Boy,
Yeah.
McGenius as they call him.
You know,
I want to do a saddest building rankings.
we can do it right now.
I want to do a ranking for the saddest.
Close
buildings
the
in
show
league.
with this. That's. I mean, I don't think we gave the Patriots and Dolphins fans short shrift. They'll appear. I'm sure one of them will appear in saddest buildings.
Yeah, I think that I think the Dolphins might have the saddest building. But before we get to the saddest building, I think we have to hold room. Get ready, Bill. Buckle up. How's the Chiefs building feeling right now? How's that building feeling? Does it qualify? They're 0-2. They're 0-2, and they're coming off of a blowout in the Super Bowl, and there's no answer out there for them right now. Is that building sad, or is it just like the multiple championship DNA and Patrick Mahomes enough walking into that building that there's no sadness, there's still confidence?
I think there's anger. I think there's a feeling of like
Anger, not sad. We got a mad building.
we're better than this. Like we know we can get our way out of this. Don't know how, don't know who, need some help. Someone would show up and show us the way. It'd be great, but I do believe that team has won so much and so often that they're more mad than sad.
It was just a question. I agree with you. But these
It's
other
fair.
ones, I think the Bengals got a pretty sad building right now.
Yeah.
Their superstar quarterback is hurt. They are, they're in a better position than they normally are at this point in the season as far as their
Got 2
record's
wins,
concerned. They're 2-0, but they've got to be the saddest 2-0 building, right?
For sure. The Bears are sad because to me, not only are they 0-2, but they were so excited heading into the season. And now it feels like it's not going to work. You still have 15 more games to go, and you're not even sure it's going to work next year.
The only sadder building is the building we just talked about, the Dolphins.
Yeah.
I think that the Bears and the Dolphins are neck and neck for saddest building. I think the Dolphins building is sadder for one reason is I think that everybody's gone in Miami. I think in Chicago, there are some people who are like, man, it's a tough look for those guys, but I'm still going to be here.
Anyone else qualify for sad building? Bears have to be in there. Dolphins have to be in there. Is Carolina in there?
Carolina's pretty sad building, but I don't think anybody's beaten Miami and Chicago. 2 saddest buildings in the league. It's official. The saddest rankings. We'll readdress this next week, depending on what happens. If Bears get a win, it might pop up. Miami, I don't think they're going to win.
Oh, well, Miami's going 0-17, says Domonique.
All right, Bill. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Charlie. This has been the Domonique Foxworth Show presented by Allstate. Throw your hands up. Podville, I love you. Thanks, great producers. We out.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.